everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is one that I'm so excited to film for you guys because today's video is going to be my first ever first impression foundation review video, and it's going to be on this foundation right here. I picked this one up in my recent Dose of Colors haul, but I have done two, so I'll leave them up in the eye for you guys to watch later on and down below in the description bar, and any other corresponding Dose of Colors videos that I have filmed because I've filmed quite a few now. But this foundation right here is the Dose of Colors Meet Your Hue Medium to Full Coverage Foundation, and I picked up the shade 119 Light Medium. The packaging is so beautiful. I love the matte black with the shiny Meet Your Hue writing on the box. On the side, it has a couple of claims, so I'll read them out to you. It says high pigment, matte finish, buildable, lightweight, and long wear, vegan, cruelty-free, talc-free, paraben-free, oil-free, and fragrance-free. And then on the back, I'll read out what it says. It says our lightweight medium to full coverage foundation delivers a blurring effect, which reduces the appearance of fine lines and skin imperfections. Apply foundation using our seamless beauty sponge, which I actually did pick up as well, fingertips or preferred applicator. Achieve a desired level of coverage by building up the foundation. So that sounds amazing. I cannot wait to try it out. And then I figured after that, because I actually managed to fit in every Dose of Colors product that I actually own into this pink and clear bag. You can see we've got some concealers, the sponges are back here, the brushes are in this little bubble wrap case, highlighters, lip glosses, liquid lipsticks. Every single product that I owned that I picked up in those two hauls is in this bag. So I thought, why not do a full face of Dose of Colors, because I actually haven't done a full face one brand tutorial on my channel yet, and I figured because we've done so many Dose of Colors videos, it only makes sense to do a full face dedicated video to Dose of Colors. So I'm so excited. If you want to see my review on this foundation and my first impressions, then just continue watching. So once again, here is a close-up of the box. You can see it is super sleek, super classy, and it's got the writing on the bottom. And once again, I picked up the shade 119 medium. Ooh, the bottle looks really nice. I love that packaging. Oh, it's so simple and it's so classy. I feel like everything from Dose of Colors just looks really simple, really minimalistic, and really classy. Like, I'm obsessed with this. So here's what the bottle looks like. So you can see it is a frosted glass container with Dose of Colors written in the center. It says foundation on the bottom, and then just like the outer box, the lid is matte black with Meet Your Hue written in shiny writing. It is so beautiful. And then as you can see, it's got a little cap. So I'm suspecting, yeah, we have a pump. That is so exciting. I love to have a pump on my foundation so I can control how much I dispense. I think it is really great to just have a pump on every foundation. I think at this point in time, it is just a non-negotiable. But I even love how the lid has the writing here. I think it is really well thought out. So I'm excited to try it out. And then on the bottom, you can see it says the shade name, which once again is 119 Light Medium. Okay, so starting off with tools, I actually picked up the full collection of the Dose of Colors brushes. So I'll show you what these look like. So there's 14 brushes in this whole collection, so I just picked up the first 5 so you can see them close up. So going from this way forward, I've got the large powder, the powder/blush brush, the tapered blush, the angled contour, and then the flat contour brush. Here are the next 5 brushes. You've got the concealer brush, the setting powder brush, the fan brush, the blending brush, and then lastly the shader brush. And then here are the last 4 brushes. So you've got the flat definer, the pencil brush, the fine liner, and then the wing liner brush, which actually comes with a spoolie on the other side. Moving on to the sponges, I ended up picking up all 4. So you've got the Seamless Beauty Sponge, the Seamless Beauty Sponge Jumbo, the Seamless Beauty Sponge Pen Point, and then the Seamless Beauty Sponge Sculpt and Shape as well on the end. So I'll show you what these look like on the side. So here is what the Seamless Beauty Sponge Original looks like. Next, we've got the Seamless Beauty Sponge Jumbo. So this one's a little bit bigger. Next, we've got the Seamless Beauty Sponge Pen Point. So you can see it's a really unique shape. I've never seen anything like this before. And then lastly, we've got the Seamless Beauty Sponge Sculpt and Shape. So you can see this is by far the most unique sponge I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like this before. So I think maybe we'll go right ahead and just try out the original one with this foundation and see how we go. And then in following videos, we'll try out the other ones. This is what she looks like. So you can see she's a beautiful teardrop shape. It's decently squishy. I mean, it is a little bit firm before we wet it, but here's what it looks like before. And then here's what she looks like after. So you can see she has plumped up quite a bit. She's still quite firm, but at least has a little bit more soft and plushiness to her, but you can see she's a little bit bigger. So I have gone right ahead and just applied my primer, and I'm going to shake up the bottle. I ended up using the MERCIER original foundation primer that has been discontinued, that I used in my full face of discontinued products, which I'll leave up here for you guys to watch after. But I'm going to shake up the bottle. Once again, you saw that it does come with a pump, so I'm going to go right ahead and pump her straight out. Hopefully this color will suit me. I'd say that's about 1 full pump. So far the color looks pretty good. Maybe it's going to be a smidge dark for me, but I do have concealer if I need to. She's a little bit more liquidy than I kind of pictured. She's not super watery, but she's a little bit less thick than I kind of anticipated, which is actually not a bad thing. So I'm going to go right ahead and do half of my face with a sponge, and then I'm going to go grab a brush and try out the other half. So I'm going to start by dotting her on the face. So that's about half a pump, and I'm going to take my sponge and I'm going to go right ahead and use the flat side to start blending her out. This sponge actually feels really nice. I can immediately tell I like the density and the bounce and the flatness that this has. So that's what she looks like. This half has nothing on. This side has about a half a pump. Probably the sponge has absorbed a little bit, not as much as I suspected, but still quite a bit. So I'd say maybe right now we're getting about light to medium coverage. I would say you can see there's definitely a hue of color, but it definitely hasn't concealed any of my scarring down the bottom here. I should probably also let you guys know that I am an oily skin type, so my cheeks and my T-zone both get oily. So we'll see how we go throughout the day because I'll be doing check-ins. And then for the other side, I'm going to be using this brush from Zoeva because the Dose of Colors brush set that I picked up doesn't have a foundation brush. This is the Zoeva 104 buffer brush, and it comes from the Opulent set. So you can see it's got a dark purple burgundy handle and then a black ferrule. So I'm going to go right ahead and just like the other side, I'm going to dot it onto the skin. Straight off the bat, I do like the texture of this foundation. I think it feels really nice and creamy. It does feel like a texture that I'd be definitely looking for in a foundation. I'm going to go right ahead and just take the foundation brush, which I've just kind of rubbed on the back of my hand to pick up anything that was left on there. And I'm going to start patting that one into the skin. I'm going to take the excess all the way down my neck. As you can see on the back of my hand, it has definitely started to dry. So you can kind of see a little ring right here where the foundation kind of was on the back of my hand. So it definitely does dry down. Okay, so here is what the brush side is looking like with the other half of the pump. So approximately you've got half a pump here and then half a pump here. I would say this one is now dried down pretty much completely. So it does actually look like we've got more coverage, especially around the center part of my face here. But you can see once again, we can see some of my scarring and active pimples here and around my chin too. But I'd say if anything, maybe perhaps this one looks a little bit better because it has dried down and it does look a little bit smoother right here. But upon application, I would say they're both pretty easy. I would say this one maybe blended a little bit quicker, but it could have also been because this had started to dry off on the back of my hand, so maybe it had a little bit more dryness to the skin. I'm going to go right ahead and take another pump, so I'll show you what a full pump looks like. So that's a full pump, and as you can see, it is a slightly runnier consistency. And I'm going to go right ahead and just dot this all over my face and once again build up the coverage using both application methods. You can also see perhaps the color has actually oxidized as well. So in these fresher dots slash swatches, you can kind of see we're looking maybe a little bit more golden, whereas in the areas that I've already blended it out, we're looking a little bit more maybe peachy. I feel like once again, we can use concealer to kind of help brighten us up again. But one pump is really going a long way. I still have a little bit of product left on the back of my hand. So I'm taking my sponge again and I'm going to blend out this side. But yeah, this is blending really nicely with sponge. It's actually not shearing it out very much, which I don't mind. But you can see it's so quick. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the brush. Okay, so here's what the skin is looking like now that I've got the equivalency to 2 full pumps on the whole of my face. Once again, I use the sponge on this side and the brush on this side. I don't know if I can see much of a difference. I would say in application, maybe this one was faster with the sponge, but I'd say especially around my scarring right here, I'd say maybe this has a little bit less coverage, but I'll pull myself in so you can see my skin all the way up close. So on this side, you can see this is the sponge side and then the brush side. So I'd say especially around this area right here, here, it looks like we've got more coverage on this side, but keeping in mind this is actually the side that has worse scarring on it too. So I feel like, to be honest, I'm happy with both methods of application, but maybe around this part of my forehead, maybe it looks a little bit smoother on the sponge side, whereas this side maybe has a little bit more texture, but really I don't see that much of a difference other than that. I would say definitely the color is too dark for me and a hint too orange. I would say because I'm so yellowy golden, initially I thought that color would be perfect, but for some reason on my skin it's maybe kind of dried down to a little bit more of a peachy hue. So I'm just going to take a little bit more product just down my neck so that way it's all the way blended, but apart from that I can definitely make it work. So I figured while we're here, let's try out the concealer from the same range. So this is the Dose of Colors Meet Your Hue Full Coverage Concealer. It contains 7.35 milliliters or 0.25 fluid ounces, and I picked up 3 different shades. So I've got 10 light, 14 light medium, and 16 medium tan. So I picked up 16 medium tan for any blemishes that I wanted to conceal. I picked up light medium, which is the number 14, for underneath the eyes for just a natural look, and then as a brightener I picked up the shade 10 light. So we'll open these up and I'll give you a look at the concealer. Okay, so here's what the concealer bottle looks like. This is the lightest shade in number 10 light. It looks so beautiful and simple. It looks just like the foundation. If I hold them up next to each other, you can see they look very similar. The main difference is the foundation has a frosted glass container and this one just has a plastic container. So I'd say this one feels a little bit more weighty and a little bit more luxurious, but I can totally understand why they would keep this one in a plastic container. But you can see next to each other they look like a perfect little family. I think these are so beautiful to look at. So when you open it up, it has a doe foot applicator. This is the lightest shade, which is once again called 10 light. That color looks pretty much perfect as a under eye brightener. The next shade that I have here is the number 14 light medium. So you can see it is once again a little bit more on the yellow side, which is what I prefer. And then the last one that I have here is the number 16 medium tan. So you can see it's pretty much a closer identical match to my skin tone. I would say once again, as these two are drying, you can see they have slightly changed color. So I'd imagine this one too would change a little bit, but you can see once again 10 light, 14 light medium, and 16 medium tan. So I'm gonna go right ahead and just take what's left of this shade in 16, and I might just try to do a little bit of spot concealing, keeping in mind that obviously this foundation is still darkening. I can tell it's definitely a shade darker now, and then just to make sure I don't dip back any product that I don't want, I'm just going to put it on the back of my hand so I don't contaminate the bottle. But you can see right there, that is a fresh swatch, and then that is the one that's already dried. So you can see the colors have definitely changed. Do you see how that one's more yellow and now this one is more peach? I would definitely say this color changes quite rapidly. So I'm just going to take my finger and I'm just going to start patting out the concealer. Okay, so you can definitely tell that that concealer has darkened now that it's kind of dried down. So you could see when I first applied it, it was too light, but now it seems to pretty much blend into the skin tone. But you can't tell that I've got concealer in the particular spots that I applied it. So I'm actually going to go right ahead and take the shade 10 light because I can tell I'm going to need quite a bit of brightness underneath the eyes. And I'm going to go right ahead and just do a couple of dots underneath the eye and maybe a couple across the forehead to brighten. And then I reckon I'm going to try and blend that out with a sponge. So I'm just going to use the tip of the sponge and I'm going to start blending that concealer out. So far, I'm really liking this sponge. It has a decent amount of bounce, and I think because it is so firm, it's actually not absorbing very much the product. But I can tell this foundation pretty much dries on its own. So if you're somebody that doesn't like to powder, I think you'd be fine with this. And then to try the shade 14, I might just take a tiny little bit and put it over my eyelids. So this is the light medium shade. And I'm gonna blend it out with that exact same sponge. Okay, so here's what the complexion has turned out looking like. It is really nice and smooth. I would say with the foundation and the concealer both on, we have pretty much medium to full, if not full coverage right now. I would say the only reason it's not full is because I can see this little blemish right here, a little inkling of some of my scars. So I'd say if it completely covered that, it would be full. But as I said, I've got pretty bad scarring from having acne and pimples, but I would actually say it looks really nice and smooth. As I turn my head, you can see it actually is pretty much matte. So I'd say you probably don't need to reach for a powder if you don't want to. Seeing as I use powder every single day though, I'm going to go right ahead and powder her down, but we'll zoom you guys in so you can see what it looks like up close first. Okay, so here's a real close-up as to how my skin is looking. Once again, we've got about 2 pumps of foundation and concealer on right now. This side was applied with a sponge, so we'll take a good look at that. And then this side was applied with a brush. So let me know down below in the comments if you're seeing much of a difference. I really don't at this current point. I would say they look pretty much identical. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish off the rest of my makeup. I'm going to go right ahead and use some powders that Missdemicarla doesn't have. The time is now 11:50, so I'm going to go right ahead and finish off the rest of my makeup and we'll come back for our first check-in. Hey guys, so I'm back for my first check-in. The time is currently 3:29 p.m. So it's been approximately 3.5 hours since I last checked in with you guys. My makeup is actually now complete, and as you can see, we actually don't look that different from how we left off. I would say if anything, I only have powder and the foundation in this area here, as well as, you know, the concealer that we applied. And I would say in that 3.5 hours, I've probably gotten a little bit shinier throughout the process, but I've been in front of these bright lights for 3.5 hours, and normally by now, even without the lights, I'd be very shiny. So far it's actually holding up really well, but I'm gonna look at myself really nice and close up now. Everything is looking pretty much perfect, like a little bit too perfect, almost to the point where it definitely doesn't look like skin. It definitely looks like makeup, but I would say if anything, it hasn't broken apart. I'm noticing now I've actually got some fallout here, so I would remove it, but I don't know how to do that without messing up the rest of the base. But it definitely looks like makeup, like it doesn't look like skin. So I think I'll zoom you guys in so you can see what I mean. Keeping in mind the fact that I have quite a lot of makeup on right now, it actually is looking really, really good, and I still am trying to find something wrong with it apart from the fact that it looks like makeup. So I am pushed all the way up close to the camera, so hopefully you can see every little pore on my face. As you can see, we are looking really smooth. I'm really, really impressed. Like, I literally just used a bit of translucent powder and then a powder around the skin. But do you see how right around here and right around here, like, it doesn't look like skin, it definitely looks like makeup. But keeping in mind, if you wanted something that was going to be glam, I think this is going to be your perfect go-to foundation so far. But as I said, we're going to wear it for a few more hours and we'll do another check-in. So I'll give you a really slow left to right. So yeah guys, I'll see you in a few more hours. Hey everyone, I'm back for my second check-in. The time is now 6:41 p.m. So it's been approximately 6.5 hours since I applied the foundation. We ended up going out to dinner, so I've just gotten home, so my whole entire lip is completely off. I felt so put together because we went to like a pub and I felt really glam, but it was really yummy. I'm really, really full. We had some pizza and my sister had calamari and my mum had a steak. So I feel like if anything, I'm in like food coma mode right now, but I'm curious to see how everything has held up. I'm really surprised. Everything is actually looking really good. I would say the one thing I can see is right here against my nose where I told you that fallout was earlier. It's actually rubbed off, but I'm not too sure why because I actually didn't end up touching it. But literally the forehead is looking really smooth. My eyeshadow is definitely creased. I wear an eyeshadow primer every single day, and if I don't, this is exactly what happens. But my eyeshadow is definitely creased and faded a little bit, and my lower lash line has smudged a little bit, but it seems to be that black shadow that was the culprit for both the upper and lower lash line. But actually the skin itself is looking pretty much perfect. Like, I'd say maybe the concealer's creased a little bit, but that could be the powder. Not bad. I'll zoom you guys in. Okay, so I zoomed myself in all the way so that you can see my face all the way up nice and close. As you can see, that eyeshadow is definitely transferred up and is creasing a little bit. But as you can see on both sides, we're looking pretty similar. The blush is looking nice and bright. Still, the highlight is there. As I said, I've eaten dinner, so my lips have completely faded off. But to be honest, it looks pretty much the exact same as it did earlier. The only thing I noticed is this little spot right here. Do you see how it's kind of patched off quite a bit? And you can see my skin kind of peeking through here. But I actually don't have too bad of a creasing between the nose. Like, normally for me, this is completely separated. So far, it's really not looking too bad. And if I look straight, you can see there's a little bit of smudging from what I think is the black shadow underneath here. So apart from that, everything is looking really smooth. It actually doesn't look too shiny either, which is very shocking because by now I would be an oily mess. Like, we're talking real greasy by now. So I'm actually really impressed. I would say it does look a teensy bit cakey kind of in in this little area right here, but after about 6 hours, I'm so happy. So I'm going to take a little bit more time and just chill out for a little bit longer, and we'll come back and do our last check-in. Hey guys, so we are back for my final check-in. The time is now 9:17 p.m. at night. So the makeup's been on for a little bit over 9 hours, and I thought I would come in and let you guys know how everything has held up. Everything is looking really good. I mean, for 9 hours, everything actually looks pretty amazing actually. I'm a little bit shocked. I would say if anything, everything maybe looks a little bit shinier and a little bit heavier. Like I'd say that area right in the center here maybe looks a little bit more makeup-y. This little bit around here maybe looks a little bit shinier, but my chin looks pretty much perfect. I would say we've melted a little tiny bit more around the nostrils, and that little part of skin around my nose around here where there was that initial fallout and that little bit of black smudginess that I haven't touched up at all is still looking the same. But apart from that, yeah, the eyeshadow is definitely creased even more and transferred even more, but really that's like the only thing I can say. I would honestly feel okay just to kind of blot, maybe touch up a little bit with powder, and obviously fix that little smudgy area right there, and I would be fine to go again. So I'm really impressed, guys. This is a really good first impression. I'm going to zoom you guys all the way in, and I'll move in closer and we'll take a closer look. Okay, so I've zoomed you guys in all the way, and I'm leaning forward so you can see my skin all the way up close. Honestly, see what I mean? It really doesn't look that different. Obviously the eyeshadow has creased a little bit more, and you can really see around that area of my nose, like especially in this little area right here, but that's the same as it was a couple of hours ago. And maybe if I have a look at the nostrils, maybe it's kind of melted a little bit more, but really not too bad. Like my pores don't look too big here. I do look a little bit shiny, but that's just the way that I always am. And do you see how in the middle of the forehead it's looking a little bit heavier, but really not too bad at all. The bit that really has shocked me is this whole chin area. I did catch myself a little bit earlier leaning on my chin, and yet somehow it hasn't come off all the way down here. So I am not upset at all. Everything looks really nice and smooth, like especially down here. Down here we haven't noticed any fading or separation or movement of anything at all. Like I'm really happy. As I said, if anything, an eyeshadow primer would really have helped because my eyeshadow has moved and transferred. I didn't even clean up that little area under here that kind of smudged from earlier, so it actually hasn't gotten too much worse. But yeah guys, I'm really happy. So yeah guys, that is it for our first ever first impression review foundation video, and I'm so glad to say it went really well today. I cannot wait to try this one out a few more other times and see how it goes with other products, but so far for 9 hours on an oily girl like me, it has worked out so well. It still looks super smooth. It hasn't looked like a crease well, and I feel like it still feels quite comfortable on the skin. But I feel like 9 hours is such a good time slot to see if a foundation is going to work for you, because I think it's a little bit longer than your average school or work day, and I find that within that 9-hour period is when I can tell if I'm going to like a foundation or not. But so far I really do enjoy this one, and I cannot wait to play with it a few more times. But I'll always let you guys know down below in the description bar. I will always have a criteria down there that will give you a ranking system, updated thoughts, and who I think it's going to be best for. So always feel free to check that out. But also let me know down below in the comment bar what other foundations you guys love and what I should try, because I always want to know what you guys are loving right now. But until then, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, then you guys know what to do. Please feel free to leave me a like, comment and leave any requests that you have down below in the comment bar. Subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell and drag all the way down to all to become a part of this family and be notified of all my future videos. And I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys. From the concealers, I don't know what is on my finger. Ah, my hand is cramping. I don't know when we stopped recording. This contains can I read? First impression review foundation revideo. Brush on this sponge. What? That was really hard.